veteran teacher herself, grew up in Washington State, near Puget Sound, where she lived with her 3 siblings and her mother, who was also, wait for it, a teacher, and her father, who was a lineman for the electric company. And she remembers getting calls late at night. They would say, hey, the power's out, we got to go fix this. And Grandma would pack everybody in the one family car, and off they would go in the middle of the night to do a job. Now, oftentimes, living that close to the ocean, the fog would roll in so thick you couldn't see to drive, so my grandfather would get out of the car, light his lantern, and walk along beside the car at 3 miles an hour until the fog lifted or until they got to their destination, whichever came first. And so my mom asked, if we can't see where we're going, and if it's too hard to get there, and if it's just so difficult, why don't we just turn around and go home? And my grandfather said, when you have a job to do, you get up and you do the job and you do not complain, and you don't ever let anybody turn you around.
Amen.
In this district, we have a job to do. We have local and federal candidates to elect who are about to make our communities better by rebuilding infrastructure, by investing in education, by closing the school-to-prison pipeline, by creating good jobs at a living wage, and by caring about every single citizen in this district. When I am elected as your Congresswoman, I'm going to be standing out in front of that car leading on those issues, and you can bet I'm not ever going to change course or turn around because we have important work to get done in this country. The most important work right now, this weekend, coming up on Monday, is the Graham-Cassidy bill. Boo. Thank you. Say it louder. Boo! Audience participation is part of democracy. So this Graham-Cassidy bill is a health care bill. I like to call it the wealth care bill. And as a former children's minister, a person of faith, and frankly as an American who is proud of our founding principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, this bill personally offends me. In fact, I need to point out that the Reverend Jody Heiss voted against 22 million of his fellow Americans on the National Day of Prayer when he voted to repeal the ACA. You know, that issue is a particular concern to all of us, but especially when you lose a job. And as it so happens, you can't make this up, we became that family the next day who had a loss of a job. My husband was promised a contract, went to work, and it turned out they just didn't have the enrollment for the students that year, and he lost his job the day after that vote. Now that is scary in any family, but especially in one who has a child with a chronic health care condition. My daughter Gwendolyn suffers from juvenile rheumatoid arthritis and has to take daily pain medicine and have weekly injections just so that she doesn't have difficulty walking. So these were hard times in our family. And being the upstanding 7-year-old that she is, she decided she would do whatever she could do to make that situation right in our house. So she went to her piggy bank and emptied it out and offered to pay for her care herself. I don't know what country we're living in that our young people feel burdened with that kind of responsibility. But I do know that I've seen our congressman sell the people of this district time and time again for his 30 pieces of silver, and that betrayal cannot stand. I am running this race for every child in this district, for our teachers, for our communities who deserve better, for our young people who deserve to go to college and not be burdened by debt, for our workers, for absolutely every voice. I am Chalis Montgomery, and I am running to win in District 10!